霍特普教授曾任加尔文大学宗教与神学教授，他在哈佛大学取得博士学位，是研究加尔文改革宗预定论方向的神学权威。他的著作包括《博尔塞克预定论的历史争议》、《陶匠与陶土》等。自2000年以来，他与太太多次去中国服侍，在北京大学等高等学府开设有关基督教信仰的课程，也鼓励了很多中国基督徒学者。
Well, I think perhaps the top one is that I have tried to be a builder of bridges between people who think differently in America, but I've tried to build bridges also with between America and China, and American Christians and Chinese Christians, and Christians and non-Christians, both in America and in China. I guess I've tried to do that as a scholar, primarily, as a teacher, as a professor.
霍特普5岁时丧母，这段经历让他从幼年就思考上帝的预定，虽然那时的他还不知道这个神学词汇。上帝究竟是全能的力量，还是一位慈爱的父亲？
I didn't have an easy youth. My mother died when I was 5 of breast cancer, and that was probably one of the most influential events in my life. I struggled with predestination when I was a young child, and I struggled with the idea, is God just almighty, or is God also a father? And if he's a father, what kind of a father is he?
霍特普的父亲曾在2战任军牧，每周邀请军队中不同信仰的神职人员来家中交流，因此霍特普自幼就受益于这种彼此尊重的跨信仰的对话。
That at a young age, predestination came to be an important theme. And that ties in with the whole question of who is God? Is he simply the almighty power, or is he indeed the Father who loves us and takes care of us? And this kind of influenced me in how I thought about predestination, because I saw the way it operated in Reformed theology has commonly been sort of a celebration of God as power and will. And it took me a long time, but at Calvin College and Calvin Seminary, and especially at Harvard, to some extent at the Free University of Amsterdam, I began to see that the main biblical focus is not that God is power and will, but that God is one who loves us and is concerned about us and is able, quite irrespective of the question whether God wills evil or whatever, he's able through evil and difficult times to bring good out of what is extremely difficult. I think through long experience, I came to be dissatisfied with either a horizontal fundamentalism on the right or liberalism on the left. But I came to have a more vertical perspective of God addressing me at every single point and calling me to faithful response.
在他后来的学术探求和个人成长中，上帝的护理也成为一个重要主题。在哈佛大学和加尔文大学2种不同环境中，他有过很多信仰反思和挣扎。改革宗基督徒应该怎样与世界对话，而不是筑起高墙。
Our time is not the early Christian age. It's not the Augustinian age. It's not the medieval age. It's not the Reformation age. There are different and important paradigms of world history And we should begin by being aware of the differences in historical movements. Ours is not modernity, ours is post-modernity. And that brings up, I think, the main needs of our time. We have a need for greater faith in God and in those people who are genuinely good. But both in China and in America, we suffer from a lack of trust in others. Suspicion is rampant. We also have a need for greater hope, because when each individual thinks that the only right or wrong is for him or her and makes judgments accordingly, we have no transcendent basis. And finally, we have nothing to give us final hope. We have no morning star to guide us, okay? And I think we have a greater need for an understanding of truth, because in the West, truth has been something that you get to commonly through dispute or argument. And I see the biblical idea of truth as very, very different from that. Truth is more like the Old English idea of troth. It's a matter of not just the correspondence of my thinking and reality or the facts as they are out there, but truth is a matter of my total being, of my heart. And keeping troth, keeping covenant, keeping faithfulness with other people, including those with whom I disagree, is a matter of truth. And we have to have a more holistic idea. In some ways, Chinese culture is commendably more holistic than American culture, including American Christian culture. And then I think we also have a need to recognize the inadequacy of all other world religions, much as we might appreciate accents in them. All other world religions try to achieve salvation by our efforts rising up, okay? Like the Tower of Babel. And all other world religions think that we can pull ourselves up by our own belts. Christianity alone says, no, you can't do that. And then Christianity does what no other religion does. God comes down to us and meets us where we are in order to give us the strength to rise higher. There's that vertical dimension again, which has come to mean very, very much to me.
当媒体给教会贴上新标签的时候，霍特普提醒我们应该保持清醒，应该看到神创造、拯救、护理的不同方面，谨防抓住一个重点，而忽略了整个福音的其他重要方面。
I have spent a lot of time in my life on that issue. Let me begin by saying, lovingly and sympathetically, that Time and Newsweek are not the most reliable sources for accurate theology. The main difference, perhaps, comes down to something like this. If you know John Calvin's 4 books of the Institutes, Book 1 has to do with the work of God the Father in creating and providing for the world. Book 2 has to do with God the Son who redeems us. Book 3 has to do with God the Holy Spirit who works within us as individuals, personally. And Book 4 has to do with God the Holy Spirit who works upon us, outside of us, socially, culturally. Those are the broad lines. Now, Pentecostalism and Neo-Pentecostalism of our day is what I would call Book 3 Calvinism. It tends to be personal, private, family, small community at the most, tends to be somewhat isolated, tends to be critical of spirits outside, and tends to be focused on personal love, personal relations, devotions, prayer, the main topics of Book 3 in Calvin, which are faith, regeneration, justification, sanctification, self-denial, and affirmation of the work of the Holy Spirit within us personally, and including also predestination and prayer and meditation on the future life. These are strong, and I'm not being critical here. I want to commend all of that, but there's more. There's the work of the Holy Spirit, God the Father through the Spirit in creation, in providence, in conservation, in ecology. Book 1. There's the work of God the Son, not only in saving me as a person, but in the social context in which I live and the total cultural milieu. And there's the work of God in the church, okay? Not only my local church, but the church of all ages and the church of all places, and the church of each paradigm of world history. And when we shrink the work of the Spirit to us personally, we are neglecting some very important aspects of the total gospel. In evangelical thought in general, and certainly in what we call fundamentalism, the focus is on Jesus saves. The focus in Kuyper is on Christ is Lord, not only of me personally, but of the total society and the total culture and the total cosmos. That is big, and I think that's exciting.
在哈佛求学时，他的导师理查德·尼布尔鼓励他不要只做加尔文基督教教义第3卷的信徒，而是要思考全4卷，就是包括上帝对世界的创造、护理等主题的凯波尔式的整全改革宗事业。
Back in the 1940s and 50s, the Niebuhrs were regarded in most Christian Reform circles as liberal, because they were preaching the gospel of social concern. We have changed, which is just one of many indications of how church communities can change. But when I first went to Harvard in my first year, I argued with Richard R. Niebuhr about many things. And at the beginning of my second year there, he called me into his office. And he said, "Phil, we have to talk." I said, "Good." And he said, "Let's begin by saying that you and I are both Reformed. And we both respect and honor John Calvin. You tend to be, in the Christian Reformed Church, Book 3 Calvinists with a strong attachment to the Puritan tradition. We in the Federated Churches, Congregational New England, want to respect the Calvin of Books 1, 2, and 4, as well as 3. And so we emphasize more matters of ecology, matters of challenges in nature. We focus more on creation. We focus on the work of Christ for the entire cosmos, and we focus also on the challenge and task responsibility of the church in the world, and the dignity and responsibility of government. When he said that, bells rang in my head, and it was for me a very moving, changing experience. At the same time, I have to say that when I was in Calvin College and Calvin Seminary, I had already decided that I did not want to be a fundamentalist. But when I was at Harvard, one thing that I decided was that I equally did not want to be a liberal.
霍特普曾看到新教因神学教义纷争而失去合一的见证，这让他非常困惑于为什么在追求真理的路上，教会反而产生很多分歧，甚至分裂。
I appreciate overwhelmingly much in the Protestant Reformation, which we are celebrating this year. But there are some aspects of which I too think before God I have to be critical. In the West, going way back to the Greco-Roman period and the Greek philosophers, there has always been a tendency to define truth in terms of the correspondence of my knowledge and the facts, reality as they are, and then to argue and to try to convince people by a very strongly propositional idea of truth. This is strongly in the West also today. Also, I think in the way we teach philosophy often, not only of truth, but how we relate to people with whom we disagree. We don't see them, first of all, as sinners. Because creation in the image of God precedes the fall. We see them as fellow images of God. And so the way we relate in our apologetics is not by trying to combat, to slug people with our verbal swords and hammers, but we try instead to relate in love and respect. And that is something I've tried to practice. In Ephesians 6, we have the most military chapter in the New Testament. But when you look beyond what is the sword of the Spirit or the shield of faith, all of the military images refer to spiritual gifts and to spiritual weapons, if you use that term. Okay? Now, I think we have to rethink what we are doing in the name of truth. I tend to see truth as modified a good deal by the concept of truth as modified by troth. Okay? We have to rethink that. We have to rethink our apologetics. We have to rethink our relation to other people with whom we agree and also we disagree.
霍特普热心为基要真理护教，也有负担呼吁基督徒用一种开放、平等的心态对话，对自己的信仰身份很认定，又要学会不让公共交往被战斗性的语言占据。他也鼓励中国基督徒学会这样有确信的跨信仰对话。
I think several things are important. One is, don't argue, first of all, but love people, even those with whom you disagree. And let that be evident. Okay? Love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, mercy, justice, faithfulness, long-suffering. Galatians 5:22. Let people who disagree with your Christian commitment see your faith in the way that you work and the way that you relate to others. And then Christianity will have its own influence and will have its own impact. Be patient, I would advise my young Chinese academic friends. Beyond that, try to understand both critically and appreciatively the culture in which you've been formed. And try to understand other cultures Try to build relationships wherever possible. Instead of arguing, show love and patience. That would be my main advice. Matthew 7:33, seek first the kingdom and its righteousness. We're talking about something that's upstairs, not here. We're talking about something transcendent, but something that can be reality, okay? Seek first the kingdom and its righteousness, and what you need will be added to you. Now, unless your righteousness exceeds that of even the religious leaders, the scribes and Pharisees around you, you are not yet seeking the kingdom.